Picture this. The Indiana Fever take the floor for the WNBA Finals. The arena is electric, fans on their feet, cameras flashing. And then, out of nowhere, Caitlin Clark walks out in uniform. The place erupts. A season everyone thought was finished suddenly has a shocking new twist. Now, I know what you're thinking. No way. We've all been told her year ended weeks ago with that groin injury. Case closed, right? But here's the catch. What if that ending wasn't the ending at all? What if the Fever, and maybe even the league itself, have kept a tiny door open, just wide enough for Clark to make the most dramatic return we've ever seen? And that's where things start to get really interesting. Let's rewind for a second. Because to understand why Clark's possible return feels so huge, you have to understand what the Indiana Fever have done this year. At the start of the season, nobody expected much from them. This was a young roster, unproven, inconsistent, and still trying to build an identity. Sure, Caitlin Clark's rookie hype was massive. She was the reason arenas were selling out, why TV ratings were breaking records, and why the Fever suddenly became must-watch basketball. But as a team, analysts didn't even pencil them into the playoffs. Then came the gut punch. Clark's groin injury. She had only played around 13 games, barely enough to scratch the surface of her potential. And when she went down, most of us thought Indiana's season was done before it ever really began. But instead of folding, this team found something inside themselves. Aaliyah Boston, last year's Rookie of the Year, leveled up into a dominant force in the paint. Kelsey Mitchell became a flamethrower on offense, carrying stretches of games almost single-handedly. Veterans like Natasha Howard and Odyssey Sims added poise and toughness. And role players, like Sophie Cunningham, started making the gritty plays that don't show up on stat sheets, but win you playoff games. Piece by piece, Indiana clawed its way forward. They battled through setbacks, silenced critics, and suddenly found themselves not just in the playoffs, but one step away from the WNBA Finals. Think about that for a second. A team written off, missing its superstar, somehow grinding its way into championship contention. That kind of resilience is rare. And now, the thought that they could add Caitlin Clark back into that mix? That's the kind of twist that turns a good story into a legendary one. So, let's get to the rule that's fueling all this speculation. Normally, when the regular season ends, playoff rosters are locked. No more free agents, no 7-day hardship contracts, no sneaky late signings. What you submit is what you've got. But there's an exception buried inside the WNBA rulebook. Teams are allowed to activate players who are already under contract but listed as inactive. That covers players on suspension, maternity leave, or, yes, the injured list. You see the catch? Caitlin Clark isn't a free agent. She's not outside the system. She's under contract with Indiana, which means technically the Fever could find a way to bring her back if certain conditions are met. And here's where it gets even more suspicious. The Fever submitted only 11 players on their playoff roster. Teams are allowed 12. Why leave a spot empty in the playoffs when everybody counts? Unless they were leaving the door cracked open for something bigger. Coincidence? Or a calculated move by the front office? That's what has fans buzzing right now. And here's the part nobody likes to say out loud. The WNBA itself is watching closely. Caitlin Clark isn't just a rookie. She's the most valuable marketing asset the league has had in years. Ticket sales, TV ratings, sponsorships. Her impact is undeniable. Now imagine the finals with Caitlin Clark returning from injury. The hype would be off the charts. Arenas sold out, ratings through the roof, mainstream sports media covering the WNBA 24/7. That's not just good for Indiana. It's good for the entire league. So you have to wonder, if the Fever ask to activate her, does the league really stand in the way? Or do they quietly give the green light, knowing the business upside is too big to ignore? At the same time, there's pressure the other way. If she comes back too soon and re-injures herself badly, that's a disaster. Not just for Clark, but for the league's long-term future. Protecting her career matters, so the WNBA is caught in a rare spot, balancing business dreams with player safety. And whichever way they lean will send a message about what the league values most. Whether Clark comes back or not, this situation reveals something bigger about the WNBA. It shows how much one player can mean, not just to her team, but to the entire league. Her absence has been felt everywhere. Her possible return has fueled speculation, hope, and debate. And that's why this moment matters. Because sports aren't just about wins and losses. They're about belief, about stories, about those slim chances that make us dream. The fact that we're even having this conversation proves how much Caitlin Clark has already changed the game. So let's bring it all together. The rules give her a pathway. The Fever left an open roster spot. The recovery timeline suggests she could be healthy enough. And the league has every reason to want her back on the floor. But at the same time, the risks are real. She's not fully game tested, the chemistry could shift, and one wrong step could cost her more than just this season. So here's the question. If you're the Indiana Fever, what do? Do you roll the dice on Caitlin Clark for a shot at immortality? Or do you protect the future, keep her on the sidelines, and wonder forever what might have been? Because sometimes in sports, the hardest choice isn't between winning and losing. It's between chasing history and protecting tomorrow. And right now, Indiana is standing at that crossroads, with Caitlin Clark at the very center of it all.